Hi, for those of you just joining us who just jumped in from the waiting room, my name is Dan Berg. I'm the Director of Academic Programs for the Carsey School. I'm going to focus primarily today on our Masters of Public Administration program, but I will touch on two of our other master's programs. The CPM Waiver, the Certified Public Management Waiver, does work with the Masters of Public Administration program, and that's why that will be the focus, but I will briefly cover the other two programs. So I will get going. Just to give you a lay of the land, you typically have a Q&A box at the bottom and a chat feature at the bottom of your screen. You're welcome to put questions into that Q&A box or into the chat box. I'm joined here with a couple of my colleagues, and they will jump on at the end and help us out answering some questions. So I'll probably run through my presentation. It shouldn't take much longer than 15 minutes at the max, probably closer to 10 minutes. And then we'll open it up for questions, and I'm happy to answer any of the questions that you might have about any three of our programs or any of the work that Carsey does. So once again, thanks for joining us, and I look forward to chatting with everyone. So why the Carsey School? There are any number of reasons to take one of our programs at the Carsey School. The nice part about the Carsey School is that we wrap all of our public service initiatives into one school, which provides students with opportunities to engage in a number of different activities, right? So we have research centers, we do community development, we do research on vulnerable populations, we do research related to social innovation, and any number of other things, demography. So our students get exposure to all of that research throughout their time at Carsey. We also do research. I'm sure some of you have heard of New Hampshire Listens. So this is a civic engagement initiative of the Carsey School. And many of our students work with New Hampshire Listens. We actually have the director of New Hampshire Listens teaching a class this summer in the MPA program. So there's a lot of interaction with us, our research centers and our outreach. And then lastly, you have the opportunity to take classes in all three of our programs. So even if you're enrolled in the Masters of Public Administration, if you see a course in public policy that's of interest or in community development that's of interest, there's room in your schedule to then go ahead and take those courses. So being within that school offers us a whole lot of different opportunities that we could share with our students. So we have three graduate programs that I had mentioned. We have a master's in public policy, we have a master in community development, and we have a master of public administration. Just briefly, I'll hit on the MPP and the Masters of Community Development, and then I'll move forward. So we really think about the MPP as the development of public policy and the advocacy of public policy, right? So how do you both create public policy and then communicate a strategic position on that public policy? We think of it typically prior to the implementation of public policy, which is more along the lines of the Masters of Public Administration degree. The MPP is a 40-credit program. There are 5 required courses plus a week-long J-term colloquium in Washington, D.C. And then there's an internship and a capstone experience. Typically, our students are in this program for 3 semesters, and typically they're going full-time. That said, we have a number of students who are starting to join our Masters of Public Policy program in a part-time capacity. Second is our Masters in Community Development. If the Masters of Public Policy is the development of policy and advocacy of policy, and the MPA is kind of that organizational implementation of public policy, the Masters of Community Development really thinks about that ground up development of policy, right? Working with local organizations, working with local communities to really start both implementation and development of programs. And how does that look at the local level? This program is built for the part-time student. We have 2 intensive summer sessions, and then we have courses during the academic year as well, but a bit less intense. due to the current situation going on with COVID, this entire program is going to be offered online right now. So it does offer an opportunity to engage in community development work and learn about community development entirely online, which is new to us, but we're excited to be able to provide that to all of our students. The Master's in Community Development is 36 credits. So there are 9 core required courses, and then there are 3 electives. The unique aspect of the Master in Community Development, or the MCD as we call it, is that your capstone experience essentially starts day one. It's a year-long experience, and it continues throughout 4 of your classes, which are called the project series courses. So unlike other programs, certainly unlike the MPA, where the capstone is reserved for the last semester, in community development, you're engaging with that capstone throughout the entire time you're in the program. And I'll talk more about a capstone and what that is in a little bit. Certainly, if there are any questions, I can elaborate. So the MPA, or the Masters of Public Administration. In this program, we really do combine policy making with implementation. As those of you that are managers out there, you know that during your day-to-day, there's loads of discretionary points where you are not only implementing public policy, but you're making decisions that affect public policy. So we really like to think that we're bringing those 2 worlds together. The MPA is a 36 credit hybrid program, right? So a number of our courses are offered online. All of our courses are offered in the evening, and typically they're offered in Manchester. So the way that this works is courses do not start until 6 in the evening. And then we have some compressed courses that start at 5:15 in the evening. It's built for mid-career professionals. It's built for people to balance both work, family, and school. And we try to put as much online as we're able to put online to make that commute to campus less of a burden for students. The beauty of pairing it with the CPM is that you get a 6 credit waiver. So that not only translates into less time in the classroom, but it also translates into savings from tuition costs, right? That's 2 classes that you were waived out of. So this is what it looks like when you use that CPM credit waiver towards our program. You can see it lowers the cost. I would also say that the Carsey School is aware that education costs a good amount of money, right? And we are we try to meet our students where they need to be. We try to meet you where you need help. And we try to provide scholarships for students that do need some scholarships to make the programs more affordable, because it's a challenging thing to do. We get that. So by all means, the CPM helps us get to where we're going, but it certainly doesn't always work for every student. So you could please feel free to reach out. We could discuss financing and scholarships along those lines. You could please visit us at carsey.unh.edu if you want to learn any more about our programming. You're more than welcome to reach out to me via email. You're more than welcome to reach out to either Sanjeev Sharma or Robin Husslage if you have any questions. Any one of us would be happy to answer some detailed questions for you. And I'm happy to stay on. What I'll do now typically is do a handful of Q&A. So I find that that's much easier to translate information than just sticking on the PowerPoint the entire time. So let me stop sharing my screen, and I will happily take questions from all of you. And let me just...
Dan, this is Robin. I do have some questions that have come in the chat box.
Sure.
One question is for the MPA Capstone project. Do you assign them, or do you assist students in connecting with organizations for their capstone project? How does that happen?
So we don't assign them. So, hey, Jean. How are you? So Jean's actually one of the recipients of our capstone students and a potential student of ours. So we try to find matches is really what we try to do. You know, students often bring a certain skill set that they have. Organizations are frequently looking for various types of skill sets. So, for example, I got a call from a town on the seacoast a couple of weeks ago. They're looking for some economic development help, putting together a strategic economic development plan. In the next week or so, I'll send an email out to our students, and we'll kind of see if there's a match there for anyone that's interested in putting their skills to work and developing an economic development capstone project, and then we'll make that match. And that happens really with organizations across the state, both nonprofit and government organizations.
Great. I have another question here. Can I start the MPA program if I'm still working on completing my CPM, and when finished, then obtain the 6 credit waiver?
Yes, 100%.
Great. That was easy. The next was, do you offer scholarships?
We do offer scholarships. We have a scholarship application on our webpage. Typically, it's reserved for full-time students. That said, we are making exceptions to that policy, and we certainly acknowledge that now is the climate to do that in, right? I mean, it's a pretty tough climate out there right now, everything that's happening. So at the Carsey School, we want to acknowledge that, and we want to support our students. So I would encourage folks to apply for those scholarships, and if we're able to fund them, we will do our very best to do so.
Great, thank you, Dan. Another question is, what time are most of the MPA classes held, and how many are offered online?
So I would say, let's see, about 90% of our classes are offered between 5:30 and 6 p.m. So we have 2 types of in-person classes. We have full semester in-person classes, and we have 8-week semester in-person classes. If they're compressed to that 8-week time period, they're going to be offered slightly earlier, somewhere in the 5:15 to 5:30 range. And if they're offered in that 14-week semester-long period, they're going to be offered starting at 6. At this point, I would say about 80% of our classes are offered online. Or let me rephrase that. About 80% of the requirements that you need to complete the degree are offered online, right? So while not every course is offered online, enough of our courses are offered online that you could complete about 80% of the degree doing that. And what I mean by that is that we have different requirements, right? So let's say we have 5 electives that you need. Well, we may offer 5 electives. They may not be the exact ones you're planning on taking, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to take 5 online. We are also considering a move towards an entirely online program, not to replace our current program, but to supplement our current program. And in gearing up for that move, that means that we are going to continue offering more and more of our classes online. So what you'll see is they're going to pop up both online and in person to support the needs of all of our students.
Great. A question here from Jeannie. What kinds of classes are the CPM program classes? I saw their application, but didn't see their class list descriptions.
So Frank, I think, is actually on with us. Frank, can we unmute Frank, or is that possible, Nick? Frank, do you want to jump in and say a few words about CPM courses?
Oh, absolutely, Dan. Can you hear me?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Gene. We have conflict resolution, supervising employee performance, time management. What else we have? We have interviewing and evaluation. Let me think what else I teach. Communications, project management. So it's a wide range of classes. Motivating employees.
Go ahead, Frank.
Oh, I was going to say motivating employees is a good one also. That's one we're offering right now toward the end of the year, that and project management. So,
and Frank, how many hours is the full CPM?
The full CPM is 300 hours. And right now it goes over 2 years. We're looking to modify that under the current climate. So it might be modified to, well, it has to be 300 hours. So nationally, we're nationally accredited through the consortium. So there is an accreditation process. We're good through 2025, I believe, or 2024. But $300 is typically it.
Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome, Dan.
Another question here is, do I have to begin the program in the fall, or can I start in the spring or summer term?
You could start whenever you'd like. So the MPA is much more flexible than a traditional academic program. Are there certain foundational courses that we like you to have? No question. But you could always pick one of those up in the spring and or fall. And if you start in the summer, you just kind of roll into it knowing that in that following fall, you're going to take one of these foundational courses. And, you know, it might be, you're certainly not going to miss out on anything if you start in the summer. You'll just get going a little bit earlier. So yeah, you could start really whenever you want. What I would recommend is just talk to an advisor for that following semester or for that semester, so you know what might be the best course to start in.
I think there's one more question here. Thanks, Dan. How easy is it to juggle work, family, and pursuing an MPA?
That's a good one. The nice part of the MPA is that you could go at your own pace, right? So I've had students that have basically said to me, I could do anything for this 8-week period. And they would take 2 courses, take 1 online course, and, you know, both work full time and have a family. I think what happens is students tend to start off taking 1 or possibly 2 courses initially, and then they realize what their threshold is and what they're able to balance. I would say in general, students finish our program in about 2 years or so. Because you're able to pair courses differently, it allows for different scheduling. So, for example, we have 2 summer courses running right now, right? So right there, that's 6 credits, and they're running at separate times. One of them runs, it's a full day Friday, it's a full day Saturday, and then it's online, and then it'll be 1 more full day on a Saturday a month later. So it's 3 full days plus online sessions. The other one is fully online, right? So the time commitment, yes, there's a lot of time that you have to put in to do well in those classes, but the in-person time is very low. Another example would be our fall semester, right? So we'll have a class that starts, let's say, August 15th. That's going to end October 1st. We're going to have a second class that starts October 8th and ends December 15th. So within 1 semester, by taking 1 class at a time, you're still finishing 2 courses. What a lot of students may do at that point is pair that with 1 in-person class or 1 online class, and then all of a sudden you've got a 9 credits done within 1 semester, and the most you're ever taking at once is 2 courses, and maybe only 1 of them is in person. So due to the flexibility of the programming and the scheduling, students are able to make that balance and figure out how it works. So the truth is, I think how as overwhelming as it might seem initially when you're getting started, that balance really is relatively easy to strike once you get in the flow of the program.
Thanks, Dan. That's all the questions I see posted here in the chat box.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone for signing on. It's a pleasure. And if you have any, follow-up questions for me, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're all around. We have long days here, and we're thrilled to chat with students and help them out. So good luck to those of you considering the program, and we look forward to seeing you.